Who exactly is the man marked by flames? That is a mystery in which I've been trying to solve since the end of Wano. And I think Oda left some hints and some clues. And if anything, he probably left all the hints and clues possible, and all we had to do is figure it out. And I think I figured something out. So on the penultimate page of chapter 1056, Law gives the poneglyph rubbings that they stole from Kaido to Kid and Killer. And after examining the rubbings long enough, Killer says to Kid, if we want to stay ahead in the scramble for the One Piece, we ought to get serious about that guy. And Kid replies, you want to go after the man marked by flames? But we've got no leads. Now, if you were a week-to-week reader back then, you understood that this dialogue directly confirmed that the last poneglyph was in the hands of a person that is referred to as the man marked by flames. Now, it's obvious to me that this person is a new character that we do not know yet, and his identity is completely unknown to the public. Now, fast forward to chapter 1081, where we see a miniature flashback of Kuzan having a drink and a good time with the Blackbeard pirates. Katarina Devon goes and asks Blackbeard if Kuzan knows about the burn scar. Burgess adds context and says how there's 4 red poneglyphs that are important, and how 2 of them belong to Kaido and Big Mom. Then Blackbeard says, but the other 2, they're the ones we can't find, and one of them is said to be held by a man with a burn scar. Lafitte joins the conversation and says that the man with the burn scar rides around on an all-black ship that swallows enemies in a vortex if they get too close. And then he speculates that those are possibly the effects of a devil fruit. And then Shiryu comes into the conversation and he says, my guess is that it's a government man. The world government's got secrets of its own, and if they hold one of the stones, it means no pirate will ever reach the One Piece. Now, unless I'm mistaken, this is the last time the man with the burn scar, or the man marked by flames, ever got mentioned in the story. And a lot of people that I see online seem to agree with the consensus that the man marked by flames is possibly Dragon. And the biggest piece of evidence for that is the fact that his ship is black. And for a while, I kind of gave into that. But there's one small problem. Dragon doesn't have a burn scar, and he also doesn't ride in an all-black ship. Keyword, all black. Looking back at the panel where Lafitte mentions the all-black ship, you notice that not just the ship is black, but the sails are also black. Monkey D. Dragon does ride on a black ship, but not an all-black ship. His sails are white, and on top of that, he doesn't have a burn scar. He has a tattoo on his face. People want to make semantics about that it's a burn tattoo or whatever. It's not a burn scar. So based off of my own deductive reasoning, I don't think that Dragon is the man with the burn scar. And then there's what Shiryu said. My guess is that it's a government man. The world government's got dark secrets of its own. Had this been said by any other person of the Blackbeard Pirates, I would discard it as throwaway dialogue. But this came from Shiryu, a former employee of the world government. Now, this is not the first time that a pirate that used to work under the world government is dropping vital information like this. Of course, I am referring to the events of chapter 1017, when Who's Who reveals that 12 years ago, a devil fruit was stolen from a government ship. Y'all know how this goes. It's revealed that was the gum fruit, yada yada yada, but that's not what's relevant here actually. What's relevant is what happens in the next chapter. Because Who's Who failed to keep the gum fruit safe, he was sentenced to life imprisonment in Impel Down. And while he was down there, he learned about Sun God Nika from a prison guard. Who's Who didn't realize it was real, but everything that the guard told him was real. In addition, the guard that told him the story suddenly just disappeared, as if he said something that was not supposed to be said. Now, this takes me back to Shiryu. Shiryu, coincidentally, used to be the head guard of Impel Down. I'm not saying Shiryu was the guard that talked to Who's Who, but that line he says keeps coming back to me. The world government's got dark secrets of its own. I'm going to go ahead and run with Shiryu's idea that it could be a government man. And if I were to assume that that is fact, I believe that the man marked by flames is somebody that used to have the Abyssal Covenant. In fact, even though I don't have enough evidence to prove this, I believe the man marked by flames actually used to be one of the Gorosei. In fact, I believe there used to be 6. Okay, I know, that sounds absurd, but I promise you it's gonna make a bit more sense once I explain something. In chapter 1167, we learn about the 3 covenants that anybody could have when they are bound with Emu. The Shallow Covenant, the Depths Covenant, and the Abyssal Covenant. I want to make it very clear that I have officially entered speculation territory here, so everything I say from here on out is purely headcanon, but I feel like it could be correct. In the next chapter, we see Harold getting his Depths Covenant mark from Emu, and it kind of burns into him. When I first read this, I didn't think much about it, but now that I'm looking at this a second time, it's clear to me that there is some type of burning properties with Emu's power. But that's just the Depths Covenant. I said the Abyssal Covenant. Now, in chapter 1125, we see Garling step into the role of Gorosei, but we don't see how he got the Abyssal Covenant, assuming that's what the Gorosei get. But we did see Saturn lose his Abyssal Covenant. And honestly, this is kind of interesting. Those that get the Abyssal Covenant gain a lot of benefits, but I only want to focus on one of them. Suspended aging. I promise you, this is still about the man marked by flames. Just follow me here. We do not know how long all 5 Gorosei have been alive, but we do know that Saturn has been alive for at least 200 years. In other words, Saturn has been holding the Abyssal Covenant well past his natural lifespan. So when we see Saturn die in 1125, I don't think that is Imu deliberately trying to kill him. I honestly think that's just Imu taking back the powers. And it looks like it's black fire that literally burns away at Saturn. Now, like I said, I'm speculating, but what would happen to somebody that has the Abyssal Covenant but has not yet reached their natural death point and were to have that Abyssal Covenant removed? If it were to play out exactly how Saturn lost his covenant and they still had life to live, it's possible that they could survive it. And if anybody were to survive something like that, it's possible that their body is covered in burn scars. Now, when I first came to this conclusion, I'm like, I think I figured it out, but that still leaves the question unanswered. Who is the man marked by flames? And to be 100% clear with you, I still do not know. But if this guy was somebody that was part of the Gorosei, or at the very least had an Abyssal Covenant, he had to be somewhere in the story, right? Now, earlier I made the outrageous claim that there used to be 6 Gorosei, or whatever that would actually be translated to. As I was doing my research for this video, I was rereading some old chapters, and I almost gave up on this entire idea until I came to chapter 395. In this chapter, Clover is telling the Gorosei over Denden Mushi about what he discovered about the Void Century. Keep in mind that the 5 Gorosei had already been revealed roughly 160 chapters before this point. There are a number of silhouettes of the Gorosei that we see in this chapter, but only after we see Clover get killed do we see another Gorosei silhouette of them giving the order of the Buster Call. But this silhouette looked different. I even went as far as to go to the anime to get a better look of who this Gorosei could be, but this Gorosei is not one of the 5 that we know. On top of that, when he says give the order to attack, he says it in almost a regretful manner, almost as if he has remorse that it's about to happen. And we never see this silhouette ever again. And I think this just might be my mystery guy. Okay, now I'm stepping into what if territory. What if what Shiryu said is true and the world government does have the last world poneglyph? Or at least they used to. Judging the demeanor of this mystery Gorosei character, what if they went rogue and stole the final poneglyph? But not for the sake of keeping it away from pirates, but instead keeping it away from Imu. From what we know, the Gorosei do not care about human life. In fact, they look at humans as insects. So why would this Gorosei care that a whole island would be obliterated by a Buster Call? Now, I hope that I'm looking too deep into this, but it's so out of character for a Gorosei to have remorse in a situation like this. Assuming this guy does exist as the 6th Gorosei, and let's assume that he did go rogue and steal the last road poneglyph, maybe Shiryu is on the right track but is headed the wrong direction. Let me explain. I think that the man marked by flames was a government man that knows the dark secrets of the world and is keeping the last road poneglyph away from the world government. In order for all of this to make sense, I have to add a bit more context. So we know the last road poneglyph was in Fishman Island, found by Roger. But when the Straw Hats went to Fishman Island, the road poneglyph was not there, suggesting that the road poneglyph was moved at some point after Roger became Pirate King. But I honestly think, to be real with you, that the road poneglyph was moved after Ohara got destroyed. Okay, so here's what I think happened. What if after Ohara got destroyed, and of course with Robin surviving and being at large in the world, Imu and the Gorosei decided to make a move. With 3 of the road poneglyph being in the New World, Zou, Wano, and possibly Totland, their only surefire move was to go to Fishman Island and take the road poneglyph that was there. Because remember, Fishman Island is part of the world government. And after feeling remorse and seeing the horror that was Ohara, this 6th Gorosei probably intervened. I honestly believe that the world government succeeded in taking the last road poneglyph from Fishman Island. But I think this mystery 6th Gorosei stepped in and prevented the road poneglyph from reaching its intended destination. And in retaliation, Imu took back the Abyssal Covenant. And if this person did not live past their initial lifespans yet, it is very possible that they survived, leaving them with the road poneglyph and covered in burn scars. It's not a perfect theory. I do not have an explanation for the black ship and black sails, nor do I have an explanation for the whirlpools. But I'm pretty confident in my findings, but if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. There's a lot of holes I could poke in this theory, but I'm not going to put any of those in this video. I'll let you guys do that in the comments. But yeah, that's my take for who I think the man marked by flames could be. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Kahamsha, that is at KAHAMSHA, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Kami out.